The very upsetting events that unfolded on September 11th, 2001 have always fascinated me in a variety of ways. From the unbelievable attacks that took place on the United States soil to the conspiracies that followed after 9/11, there's a lot of interesting information to look into. And in today's video, we'll be looking at the more musical side of 9/11 related content. I have actually made a video about this in the past, so feel free to check that out. But anyway, this video is going to be separated into 3 different segments. I'll start out with the songs that in one way or another predicted or alluded to the events on September 11th, 2001. Then after that, I'll do a deep dive on the music that quite literally played out during 9/11. And then finally, I'll end the video off with some interesting facts about the World Trade Center and other music related stuff. I know that was a little much to take in, but I think all of my viewers watching this deserve a nice long video for the recent support I've been getting. Thank you guys for 40,000 subscribers. That's pretty awesome. I not only make YouTube videos because I find certain things interesting and need a creative outlet, but I also want to inform others on this sort of weird, interesting stuff and just keep you guys entertained. Be sure to like the video if you enjoy this sort of content. Let's get into some songs that are weirdly related to 9/11. To start off with songs that somehow predicted 9/11, we have The Coop's Party Music. The Coop is a political hip-hop band from California and consists of legendary artists like Boots Riley, Silk E, and Pam the Funkstress. The band would drop their first album, Kill My Landlord, in June of 1993, and would go on to release 2 more projects throughout the 90s. For their 4th album, titled Party Music, The Coop chose a very peculiar album cover and scheduled this to come out in mid-September of 2001. Obviously, the Coop had made and settled on this atrocious album cover long before the events of 9/11 ever occurred, but let's really dissect what's going on here. This cover features the main man of the band, Boots Riley, and DJ Pam the Funkstress standing in front of the World Trade Center. Boots Riley is holding an electronic tuner and is obviously being used as a detonator to set off some explosives inside the Twin Towers. Could this possibly allude and play into the conspiracy that 9/11 was an inside job done by internal explosives? I'll leave that up to you, but it's just something to think about. Going back to the album itself, Party Music was set to release in the middle of September, but due to the events of terrorist attacks that looked nearly identical to what's shown on the Coop's album cover, the band decided to postpone the album's release date. At first, Boots Riley would try and fight to keep the original album cover, but the band would eventually settle on a flaming martini glass and release Party Music on November 6th, 2001. In an interview with Boots Riley, he would go on to say this: "There's been a whitewash in the media over the past couple days over what the United States' role in the world is, and the fact that they kill hundreds of thousands of people per year to protect profit. Now how can I get to the point where I could be saying that on the world stage and interrupt the lies that CBS and NBC and everyone is saying? In my view, that would be by keeping the cover. Not because I think by looking at the cover you get all of the message that I'm telling you, but as a way to have a platform to interrupt the stream of lies that are being told right now." After hearing his perspective on keeping the album cover, it's pretty easy to see and understand his reasoning, but there's just many other ways to portray the message he's trying to deliver. Despite the album cover controversies, this album would gain global praise from music critics and even appeared in the top 20 albums of 2001 by Spin magazine. I personally find the cover to not be very visually appealing, and it just makes me ask why they would settle down for this ugly of a picture in the first place. Moving on to another album cover that predicted the events of 9/11, we have the Dream Theater's Live Scenes from New York. With the release date of September 11th, 2001, the prog metal band Dream Theater got rather unlucky with their album release. The cover features the Big Apple, a nickname for New York, covered in flames. Inside the flames is none other than the Statue of Liberty and the Twin Towers. While this entry isn't as insane as the Coop's Party Music album cover, it's still pretty interesting and pretty mind-blowing in my opinion. To add more context to this album and the events that led up to this artwork being chosen, let's go back to 1992. For Dream Theater's second studio album, the band had chosen this artwork for their project. In this image, you can see a flaming heart that's wrapped in barbed wire. This flaming heart would serve as an alternative logo for the band, with this logo being their main one. Because of this, the band chose to have a flaming apple covered in barbed wire for their live set that was recorded in New York. Shortly after the unfortunate events of 9/11, the live album would be recalled and later republished with a new cover. Live Scenes from New York now features the band's logo instead of an image we are all too familiar with. Before I begin with the album God Hates Us All by Slayer, I gotta let you know that the music on this one is pretty extreme. I'd also like to give a shout out to the people who recommended this album in my original video's comment section, so thank you to you guys. That being said, God Hates Us All is the 9th studio album by heavy metal band Slayer. Not only was the album released on September 11th, 2001, but the subject matter in some of these songs are rather reminiscent of 9/11. The most popular example is in the song Disciple. The song is about how God doesn't care about anybody, and how God is willing to let horrible things happen, such as terrorist attacks. What a great release date for such a happy album. Another album that was highly recommended from my last video was System of a Down's Toxicity. Toxicity would be released on September 4th, 2001, and would quickly climb the radio charts and receive very positive recognition. Their hit song off the record, Chop Suey, would even reach the #1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. The problem is, this incredible accomplishment happened on none other than September 11th. The bassist of System of a Down, Shavo Adagian, had this to say about that day. I woke up in the morning with my phone blowing up. It was those last couple of days at home I was really trying to get, knowing that I'm going on tour in a couple of days. I answered the phone and it was my mom. And my mom said, "Turn the TV on, there's chaos happening in America." I turned the TV on, it was like 9:15, and I saw the tower fall. My phone beeped and I went to the other line, and it was my manager. And he goes, "Congratulations, you're #1 on Billboard." Unfortunately for System of a Down, their song would quickly be removed from radio play as the chorus of the song has the lyric, "I don't think you trust, in my self-righteous suicide, I cry when angels deserve to die." You could make a pretty easy argument that the terrorists on 9/11 were rather self-righteous and obviously suicidal. Aside from the general information I just gave you, the album itself has its own weird little correlations to the September 11th attacks. I think the first thing that comes to mind for a lot of people is their song called Aerials, in which they talk about aerials in the sky. And it's not really related to 9/11 at all, obviously, but it's still aerials in the sky, whatever you want to make of that. Another example is the 4th track on Toxicity, a song called Jet Pilot. It has these lyrics. And then finally, the 9th song on the album, called ATWA, is actually about Charles Manson and some other stuff to do with that guy, but you could kind of loosely tie it because ATWA is actually the last name of a notorious terrorist and plane hijacker named Ali Atois. I know I'm stretching a lot here, but I just thought I would include that, so take of that as you will. The Austin J. Tobin Plaza was the public square that was at the base of the World Trade Center. The plaza was most known for the Sphere, but was also home to live music and events. If you were to walk around the plaza, chances are that you would hear the infamous Austin J. Tobin Muzak. Muzak is defined as the light background music played through speakers in public places. You know, if you walk around the mall, you're gonna hear background music, that's Muzak.
I've covered wars, you know.
Interestingly enough, there's quite a large community that's dedicated to finding and preserving the World Trade Center's Muzak. In this small corner of the internet, there's many different mysteries about missing songs and unidentifiable background music, but what's most fascinating is what we know about the Muzak that played on September 11th, 2001. For quite some time, there was no definitive knowledge of the songs that played in the plaza during 9/11, until people looked into the Jack Talercio footage. Jack Talercio, accompanied by 2 of his colleagues, had snuck onto the World Trade Center plaza soon after the planes hit. Throughout the footage they captured, you can see the true horror and chaos unfold in front of your eyes, but the video also features some of the only recorded Muzak on 9/11. For whatever reason, the outdoor speakers never turned off during everything that was going on, which resulted in a very strange and eerie scene in Jack Talercio's footage. You can actually hear 4 songs from his video, one being an instrumental cover of Billy Joel's She's Always a Woman, instrumental cover of the Bee Gees' How Deep Is Your Love, an instrumental piece called Windless by composer Mike Strickland, and another instrumental track titled Will You Come Back, My Love. What's sadly eerie about this final song is that this was playing in the background while a security guard told Jack and his colleagues to leave the plaza. Shortly after this, the first tower, being the south one, would collapse, which makes this the last recorded song to ever be heard and captured at the World Trade Center. I would also like to mention and add that the security guard was saving many lives that day, along with many other people, obviously, like firefighters, but I'd like to mention her in particular. Her name was Denise Conley, and may she rest in peace. Going back to the topic of WTC Muzak, there's many other newly found lists of songs that apparently played in the plaza on 9/11, but the 4 tracks I mentioned are the most well known. These songs will forever be connected to the final moments in the World Trade Center's plaza. Following the aftermath of 9/11, there were over 164 songs that were banned from American radio stations due to questionable lyrics. It seems as if any song that could barely be tied to 9/11 got the Shedletsky banhammer. Shout out to those who got that reference. If you comment down below saying you got that reference, I'll give you like 100 Robux. Anyway, I'll link the article I'm getting my information from in the description if you'd like to see all the 164 songs that got banned, but I'll just name some of the ones I find interesting. Alanis Morissette's Ironic got banned for the line, "Mr. Play It Safe was afraid to fly. He packed his suitcase and kissed his kids goodbye. He waited his whole damn life to take that flight, and as the plane crashed down, he thought, well, isn't this nice?" Bare Naked Ladies had a song called Falling for the First Time, which you can see why this got banned. Crash Into Me by Dave Matthews Band got reasonably taken down with a title like that. Bodies by Drowning Pool got banned, and reasonably so. John Mellencamp had 2 of his songs taken down for some pretty unfortunate titles, Crumbling Down and I'm on Fire. Limp Bizkit's Break Stuff. Every single Rage Against the Machine song got banned. Sugar Ray's Fly got banned, and I don't think any song about flying would be appropriate during this time. And last but definitely not least, Tom Petty's Free Fallin' left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths during this time, along with many other songs. In September of 2000, Limp Bizkit shot their Rollin' music video on top of the South Tower. Their video ended up winning an MTV award for Best Rock Music Video on September 6th, 2001, just 5 days before September 11th. On September 10th, the World Trade Center had actually sent a letter to the band congratulating them on their award, and also thanking Limp Bizkit for choosing to shoot their video at the Twin Towers. And as we all know now, the events of 9/11 would occur just the next day. Limp Bizkit were very proud to win their award, but nobody, including the band, wanted to see their music video after what eventually happened.
Yeah, and that video had life for about 1 year, and then the World Trade Center.
Exactly 1 year,
yeah,
actually.
Yeah, exactly 1 year, and then 3 days later, bam.
We just got that letter too from them, and saying thank you for letting us be a small part of your video. And
the Twin Towers were a popular spot for musicians to film their music videos, and Limp Bizkit was the final band to ever record a music video at the World Trade Center. The post-rock band called Explosions in the Sky have seen their fair share of controversies to 9/11 related events. For instance, the album they released just a month before 9/11 features a plane on the cover, along with a note inside of the CD's booklet that reads, "This plane will crash tomorrow." After 9/11 happened, there was even a rumor that went around music forums about how this album was actually released on September 10th, which would make the whole "this plane will crash tomorrow" note very unsettling. Obviously, this was just a rumor, and the album was without a doubt released on August 27th, 2001. The members of the band even came out and said that they had the artwork and idea for the liner notes for over a year before the album was even released. Their other 9/11 mishap was when they had a concert on September 11th, which made the venue's marquee very distasteful. The music video for Stay Together for the Kids by Blink-182 has two different versions. The most popular is of a home being destroyed by a wrecking ball, and the other being the band playing in an empty mansion with a bunch of screaming teenagers. I dug up this clip from their behind the scenes DVD, and Mark Hoppus explains everything that went down.
They spent about 3 days preparing the house. We shot the video the first day, which was September 10th, and then we went back to finish up the small stuff we had to on September 11th, and on the way up there was when all the tragedy went down. In the end, we decided that it wasn't, the images in the video looked too much like the images that were coming back on television from the disaster, so we decided to reshoot the video.
Nowadays, the original cut is the one that's shown on the Blink-182 YouTube channel, and most people don't actually know about the alternative take. This segment isn't anything too crazy, but I think a lot of people would be pretty surprised with how many albums were released on 9/11. I'll just go ahead and list them. There was Mariah Carey's Glitter, Jay-Z's The Blueprint, Nickelback's Silver Side Up, POD's Satellite, The Microphone's Glow Part 2, and Bob Dylan's Love and Theft.
From the chop from that hurricane, but other than that, it's kind of quiet around the country. We like quiet. It's quiet. It's too quiet.
On the morning of September 11th, 2001, a young man named Gerard was working in New York City as an intern for Cartoon Network. The young artist was just a few blocks away from the Twin Towers as the terrorist attacks unfolded, and you can even see him photographed in this picture. This man standing next to a streetlight with a bag is none other than Gerard Way of the popular rock band My Chemical Romance. The day after 9/11, Gerard Way would pick up his guitar, something he stopped practicing after quite some time, and created the song Skylines and Turnstiles. Along with this, he called up his friends Matt, Ray, and Mikey. These four musicians would collaborate on music together, with most of the subject matter being about the events that happened on 9/11. Everything I've told you so far is what essentially started the beginning of My Chemical Romance. The band, as most of you already know, has grown to be an icon of alternative rock, but I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't realize that many of their songs are connected to 9/11. To this day, MCR still references the attacks in their music. The single they released in 2022, The Foundations of Decay, has lyrics such as, "He was there the day the towers fell, and so he wandered down the road, and we would all build towers of our own, only to watch the roots corrode." Just a side note, I really hope I get to see MCR in the near future. These guys were my heroes when I had my emo phase in the 4th grade. I was pretty advanced back then. If you're still watching the video until this very point, that means I did a pretty good job of keeping you entertained and informed. I hope you learned a lot of new interesting facts, and it would be pretty cool if you dropped a like or even subscribed. Anyway, the next video is going to be the 3rd installment of finding the locations of popular liminal spaces, so be sure to stick around for that. Expect it by the end of the month, but until then, you can check out my exclusive Patreon content. Then we decided to go take a break and get some grub at a 7-Eleven. Bro, I wanted the pinky strawberry white chocolate cappuccino. Thank you to everybody who's been supporting my channel. Having 40,000 subscribers is honestly unreal. I expected to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so already being so close to my milestone in June is really awesome. I'm going to let longtime friend of the channel, Cher, and Discord moderator, he's a Discord mod, I'm going to let him read the Patreon shoutouts for this video, so thank you to him and everybody on the Patreon.
Shout out to Misazaki, Bella M, Jera, Sinful, Josh S, Joshwinnn, Lexi Bunny, Master Snake, Cher, and the Good Bunch.
While editing this video, I've actually gotten 2 more awesome Patreon members, so shout out to Eli and Damian. You're freaking cool. Thank you.